In this lesson, I'm going to cover some chord inversions in the key of D, and I used this in the cover I did for What a Beautiful Name, but you can use these chords with any song in the key of D. A chord inversion is just a different way to play a chord in different positions on the neck, so it's really useful if you want to complement another guitar with some different sounding chords. It's a real nice way to add in something different. So there's a few ways to think about these chord inversions that I used. We'll go up the neck in a second, but you can actually do some of these things just in the second hand position with your D chord. So we'll just start with the D. So for this one, I'm not really doing a whole lot else other than just getting rid of my middle finger, making a D sus2 chord. And then doing a picking, kind of a back and forth picking pattern there. So that's just something you can add to a D chord. For your A chord, you're right there, so you can just have 0, 2, 2. So I'm just moving my middle finger to the second fret of the second string, and pointing finger stays right above it. So you can use that in place of an A chord or a 5 chord. You just don't want to play anything above it, because that's your D. But you can play your first 3. So here I'm moving up the neck a little bit. So the chords that I'm covering and complementing are G, which in this case is my 4, B minor, I'm playing a D2 over B, but this is just your 6 minor chord, and then an A chord, which is your 5 chord. So let's start with G. All you're doing here is it's 0 and then 3, 3rd fret with your pointer finger on the second string, right above it, middle. It's just kind of 1, 2, 3, middle above it, and then ring above that. And you only want to play those 3 strings, and that's it. So if you're used to kind of the simple F, maybe you learned a song in the key of C, and that simple F, that's the shape. It's just kind of 3 fingers right in a row. So this is an inversion of a G chord that you can use to complement just a G chord. So where it comes from is a bar chord. And if you look closely, if you do a G bar chord, these notes, you're playing those but with different fingers. So this is just a simple way to play just those strings. And that's your major shape. So if we take that shape and move it up 2 frets, you're going from G to A. Again with a simple 1, 2, 3 pattern. So I'm on the 5, 6, 7 here on 2nd, 3rd, 4th strings. So pretty easy so far. And then your B minor, you're borrowing the notes from a bar chord that's a B minor chord. So the way to do that is to use your pointer finger to press down to kind of bar still really on the 2nd and 3rd strings. I go ahead and get the 4th just because it's easier to kind of press down with your finger and arch it up a little. You don't have to worry about the 1st string because you're not really playing that one. And then your ring finger, it's right here on the 9th. So that's your 4th string, and then your pointer again is barring. And so this is your minor position. So you have your major position, and then with your picking pattern, your right hand, you're just doing anything you want, but just those strings. And that was a major, so this is a minor. So your ring finger is really your guide for these types of chords, and you can actually keep going down the fretboard if you want. But use your ring finger as your guide to get you from place to place, and it also has kind of a nice sliding sound. So those are some nice inversions that you can do for Again, G, A, and B minor. And another way to think about just, again, if you're complementing another guitar, is just play the high parts of other chords. So if you don't want to get your G here, you can get it here. You're going to pull out a few different notes in the G chord, but you're just playing the high part of a G chord. So if you just leave your pinky and ring finger where they normally are. So in this position, you could get your G, you could get your D, and you could get your A. So that's another way to play some of those chords. And then if you want to do something even more than that, you can play a D chord and have your pinky actually go to the 5th fret, get that high note. Now this chord can actually work for D. It'll fit with that. Depending on where it is in the song, it may work for a G, and you could also use it for an A if you take your middle finger off and you bar. So the way to do that is just bar with your pointer finger, just the bottom 3 strings, and let that pinky get that high 5th fret here. You could probably play most of a song in the key of D just using those positions. They'll work for different chords. You'd be surprised. You don't necessarily have to match every chord exactly. So I would encourage you to learn these shapes and then experiment as you're trying to complement another, another guitar playing just the normal chords. Try those, try some open positions. And then your sliding positions based off of bar chords. So those are some fun D chord inversions.